I'm a nutritionist, and here are 3 meal prep ideas that will actually make your life easier. So meal prep often gets a bad rep, and it's associated with that classic kind of chicken, broccoli and rice format, but it can mean prepping tools or certain foods that are going to make quick meals, quick lunches, easy dinners throughout the week and just save you time where you need. These are the 3 things that I personally prep all the time. I've always recommended clients to prep, and I think you guys are going to love. I actually used to have a Deliveroo kitchen, and back in the day I used to boil about 50 eggs every single day, but it's one of those things that not a lot of people think about prepping, but can actually make such a big difference to your day. So the method is really, really simple, but it's a little bit specific, so you've got to follow along to the exact T. Make sure you get a phone with a timer, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So what you want is 6 medium eggs, ideally at room temperature. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these eggs and I'm gonna drop them into a pan that is on a rolling boil. You don't want anything that's too aggressive, otherwise you'll end up cracking your eggs. And then using either a slotted spoon or one of these little fancy pasta spoons, you're just gonna slowly drop your eggs into this boiling water, like so. And then we're gonna leave it here for exactly 6 minutes and put the countdown on. So whilst that is on that gentle rolling boil, you're just gonna prepare a really simple bowl of ice water. The good thing about the ice water is when you take the hot egg and plunge it into that ice water, it's gonna cause the membrane to constrict. And this just helps the egg come away from the shell, and your eggs will just peel like a dream. It's really important that you go straight from that hot, straight into the cold. Otherwise, you'll have a nightmare trying to peel them. So that is my timer, 6 minutes exactly. And then you're just going to take your slotted spoon again and put the eggs straight in to that ice water. And just leave these for 2 minutes. So my eggs have been in ice cold water for about 2 minutes now. Then what you're gonna do is just tap them on the side, and you'll see the membrane just comes away so easily. And you can feel as well, the texture is just perfect. You've got that lovely kind of bouncy, fudgy egg yolk. And there we go. That is a perfect 6-minute egg. I'm just gonna pop these into another bowl of water. Now, eggs are such a good thing to prep because they really are kind of a superfood. They contain so many key nutrients, vitamins, minerals, something called choline, which is really important for our brain health and cognitive function, as well as being a good source of protein. There's about kind of 5 to 6 grams of protein per egg. So when you pair that with something like cottage cheese or a piece of toast, you can hit a good 20 to 25 gram protein breakfast that you can throw together in about 3 minutes. And when you peel these, you can just see how easy the membrane just comes away. And it's all about that hot to ice trick that will make the biggest difference. It's gotta be soft rolling boil, not too aggressive, 6 minutes to 6.5 minutes if you want them slightly fudgier, into the ice water, 2 minutes max, and they'll peel every single time. When you wake up the next morning and you make your cup of tea or your coffee, all you need to do is place one of the eggs into a mug with some of the boiling water, let it sit there for like 2-3 minutes and it will warm up, the yolk will become oozy again, and honestly, it's the easiest thing to do. So now the moment of truth, the perfect cut through shot. Let's see how these are. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that is the perfect 6-minute, oozy, gorgeous, a little bit jammy egg. Perfect for breakfast, for snacking on. And I'm gonna show you how I use them for a quick breakfast now. Just store them in cold water in your fridge, in any sort of container. I love these little silicone bags. If you follow me on social media, you know I talk about these all the time. These are the OXO silicone bags. They're so, so useful. And they'll last for about 3 to 4 days. So now I prep these, let's make one of my favorite speedy go-to breakfasts that's high in protein, balanced in fiber, and will keep you full all morning. So I'm the biggest fan of a good cottage cheese toast in the morning. I feel like it's one of these things that is quick, it's simple, it's filling, it's delicious. I'll grab 2, dry them off a little bit, then place into a bowl a nice big dollop of cottage cheese, a spring onion, and just finely dice that. It's just one of those perfect, simple, easy breakfasts. Then you can use tomatoes, you can use cucumber, you can use avocado. At least 2 to 3 different plants with your breakfast is the kind of rule of thumb that I always say. Just a small handful of those, and then I'm just gonna dice those into quarters. Always love to add a little fresh herb, so I'll just snip off some basil. Roughly chop that up. And then just a good amount of fresh cracked black pepper, good pinch of salt. And now we're just gonna mash this all together. And you'll see, we'll break these open and you just have these kind of lovely, perfectly jammy yolks. So then just roughly break up those eggs with a spoon. You want texture with this, don't make it into a pulp. This is my ultimate breakfast egg salad, basically. And now all we need to do is load it onto some toast. So simple, but so good. Toast. I actually always do my toast in the air fryer. I feel like it's the unknown air fryer hack that not enough people do. And then all you're gonna do is load this nice egg salad mix onto your toast. Then an extra little sprinkling of seeds for gut health, because diversity is king. Now another thing that I love to incorporate is a little bit of spice, and because I'm addicted to it, this is hot maple, kind of like hot honey, but just adds an extra little bit of deliciousness. Final bit of pepper. And that is a 3-minute throw together breakfast that you can use with your prepped eggs. That's gonna leave you full, satisfied. Cottage cheese, hot maple, oozy, jammy, 6-minute eggs with tomato, spring onion, basil, all the good stuff that you want to eat, and it will leave you feeling amazing. So next up, a lot of people talk about prepping your proteins, but have you thought about prepping your fillings? This is a series that is so popular over on my social media channels, my Instagram, my TikTok, and I'm gonna show you how I do my Greek salad preppable protein filling. The beauty with these is that you can just toast up a pita, you can have it in a rice bowl, you can put it in a jacket potato. They're so quick. I make one of these every single week, non-negotiable. So what you want to do is choose any protein you like. In here I have some shredded chicken, but you can use tuna, you can use prawns, salmon, literally whatever you want. And normally I aim for about 80 grams per person. And because I want this Greek salad themed, I'm basically just going to choose all of the things that you would traditionally put into a Greek salad. So a cucumber. But I do have a couple of extra little tips when it comes to making these fillings, because what you want to do is keep it really fresh and stop it going soggy. So cucumbers have a very, very high water content, and most of the water you find is actually in the seeds. So just the real simple act of just gently slicing out that part. You can keep it, I mean, I like to toss them in salt and just eat them as a snack, but then you get the drier, thicker part of the cucumber, and this is what I'm gonna dice and put into my filling. And what this is gonna do is stop all of that water from those seeds leaking into the mix, which is gonna result in that kind of meal prep that goes a bit soggy. And there's nothing worse when you've made the effort to kind of get ahead, prep something that is for you in the next few days, and you get around to eating it and you're like, this actually isn't very nice. These fillings are such a savior. I have a lot of people who are nurses or shift workers who make these every single day. So then you're just gonna really finely dice that cucumber, and we're just gonna tip that into our bowl with the shredded chicken. Then about half a red onion. Then here I actually like to use a mandolin. Really, really big fan of these. Just be careful with your fingers. This is my OXO Good Grips one. I can get these perfect, lovely, thin slices of onion. Nothing worse when you're eating something, you just like chow down a massive hunk of onion. I always say when using a mandolin, don't be a hero. Don't try and get every last bit of that onion. Leave that little extra nub in. Perfect, so cucumber, red onion, a nice bit of fresh chopped dill, or use whatever herbs you have. You can use parsley, mint. Finally chop that up, and it goes. And then some nice sweet cherry tomatoes. Whenever I'm really, really busy, it's just so much easier to make a quick, healthy lunch. I'll often toast up a pita, and it just means that I can make lunch within 5 minutes, in between calls, in between meetings. And also, as people said, they can take these into work and assemble lunch at work. So with these tomatoes, I'm just gonna bundle them up. Just give them a little squeeze. And you'll see actually all of the water that comes out of them. That's what you don't want in your protein mix. And then what I'm gonna do is just tip those in. So now I have our chicken, cucumber, dill, tomatoes, red onion. Gonna also add a little bit of green pepper. Then I'm just gonna get a little bit of feta. So just crumble that in there. And all of these protein mixes as well, I do in one bowl. So the dressing I toss into the same bowl, which just, again, makes life so much easier. Then you want a really good, thick, strained, high protein yogurt. Natural yogurt, again, has more water content. So if you want to stop these mixes going soggy, make sure you get a skyr, or I'm using the fibre one here, 2% fat. Then juice of probably about 1/4 of a lemon. Again, you don't want too much liquid into this. So lemon in, double down, there you go. I also actually love to add a tiny little squeeze of honey into this. I love that kind of feta with the salty sweet. It just really makes it pop. A good pinch of salt, good amount of black pepper. I almost forgot the olives. Can't have Greek without olives. And then just roughly chop those. You can do all of this by eye. You actually don't have to measure or weigh any of these. Like I weighed my chicken because I like to know that I have enough for the portion. And then all I'm gonna do is give this a good mix. And this is the beauty, if you've got a bit of like leftover roast chicken from a Sunday, once you start prepping fillings like this, it's going to make your life so much easier. So many of us start Jan with all the best intention, all the New Year's resolutions, but it's about doing things that you know you can actually stick to, sustainable, you're gonna be able to do every single week. And if you're the kind of person who loves a sandwich or likes a quick grab and go lunch, instead of your meal deal, if you do this, I promise you, you will think that it's the easiest but the best change that you've ever made. So there is everything mixed together. I mean, it's a massive portion. This smells unreal as well. And that is now gonna store in the fridge for 3 days. These are my favorite meal prep containers. These are actually from a brand called Blum. They're stainless steel, but you can also put them in the microwave, which I actually find a little bit shocking. No one believes me until they get them. So what I'll do is I would just pile that into these. So that is a portion of my preppable Greek salad protein filling. This is so versatile. I'll stick this onto a jacket potato. You can even have it as a salad topper. So if you use a base of rocket, you can just throw this on top. I often have this shoved in a pitta, which is what I'm gonna make now for my lunch. Great in wraps. Will last about 3 to 4 days in the fridge, but usually it's gone by then for me. So then I've got my nice fresh toasted pitta. Always warm your pittas up. Then my hack to opening a pitta is actually use a pair of scissors. So you cut it in half, then you would just use the scissors to snip them open. And voila, you have the perfect little open pitta pocket. Oh, it's so nice and warm. Have a nap in there. Grab a spoon, open the pitta up, and there we go. Greek salad, chicken pitta. I honestly can't tell you how many times I eat these for lunch. They are just an absolute game changer. They're so satisfying as well. And I think that with some crisps and a cup of tea is just the perfect lunch. Stick these back in my fridge. And again, I can make that in 5 minutes tomorrow. So last but not least, it's the simple act of pre-cooking your carbs. And I know this sounds really, really simple, but there are multiple benefits of this. It's time saving, yes, but also it makes them healthier in a sense, because what happens is when you cook, cool, and reheat your starchy foods, things like potatoes, pasta, rice, you actually increase something called resistant starch. And resistant starch is kind of a type of fiber, but it's something that your gut microbiome feed off. It helps slow down digestion of your carbs, which will result in lower blood glucose spikes. And it just makes them, all in all, just a little bit more balanced, a little bit more healthy. And I mean, I love a carb. I don't think I will ever be in the demonization of carb camp. This is something that you should integrate into your meal prep routine. It's gonna make whipping together lunches, dinners, meals so much easier and quicker, but also make your carbs even healthier too. So I'm not gonna teach you how to boil potatoes or cook pasta. I think you guys already know that. So I just simply boiled these lovely skin-on baby potatoes in garlic, rosemary, salt. So I flavored the water a little bit so they still taste a little bit bougie. Then I stuck them again into my Black and Blum containers. And then I also have a pasta portion. So this is 150 grams of pasta. It's actually a portion for two, believe it or not. But if you watch my other video, you'll understand the principles of volume eating. These I will keep in my fridge for about 4 days, and I can either just have them cold in a salad, which is what I'm going to show you now, or again, I can smash them, toss them in olive oil, stick them in the air fryer, and have some really quick roast potatoes. So this is one of my favorite one bowl salads to make. I love chucking every single thing into one single bowl. I feel like it makes preparing dishes really quick, easy. So I'm gonna tip about 150 grams or 160 grams of these potatoes into the bowl. Finely chop some spring onion, and then grab a pre-cooked hot smoked trout fillet. Tuna works well, prawns work well, chicken works well, whatever you have. And I'm just gonna add this to the bowl with the potatoes. I actually like to treat parsley almost like a salad leaf. So just give that a fine dice, you don't have to do it super fine, and then add that to the bowl. So in here now I have my potatoes, my chopped parsley, my flaked trout, spring onion, and now I'm gonna make the dressing. Again, one bowl wonder. I love a yogurt-based dressing because you get that extra hit of protein too, but it also makes everything taste really kind of rich and creamy, which is great. So a good heaped tablespoon of that. Then a good heaped teaspoon of whole grain mustard. If you don't have whole grain, you can use any mustards you like, American, English. And then lemon zest, and then the juice of half a lemon. Then a good crack of black pepper again. So because I cooked my potatoes in salted water and the trout is quite salty, you don't want to add too much salt, just a little bit. And then just a tiny little bit of vinegar, just for an extra bit of brightness. And a tiny little bit of honey, like half a teaspoon. And then just a small handful of spinach. Toss everything together till it's nice and combined. If you've got any larger potato pieces, you can just break them up with your spoon. If you guys weren't here, I would eat this straight out of the bowl, but because you are, I am going to present this nicely. I can't wait to eat this. It's so simple, but it's so just delicious and yummy, and it's kind of smoky, and that lovely honey mustard dressing is just gorgeous. And there she is, my hot smoked trout potato salad with this honey mustard yogurt dressing. It took me 5 minutes to throw together. You can prep this, take it into work. You can even have this for dinner. Super filling, high in healthy fats, omega-3s. Plus we have the benefits of prepping, cooking, cooling, not necessarily reheating our starch. Honestly, this is the kind of lunch that I could eat every single day. So good, so good. So I like to call this a meal prep that you actually want to eat. I can't choose a favorite. I think I eat these literally every single week. This is such a staple for me, and the eggs are literally going to change your life. Maybe a little bit dramatic, but they are so, so useful. So let me know if there's any particular recipes or ideas or inspiration that you want more of. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to follow along and hit that subscribe button.